The Wuhan coronavirus is called that because it began in the city of Wuhan. It spread across the world because Chinese authorities lied about it, but instead of holding them accountable, the Western press often sounds like Chinese propaganda. Here's a recent tweet from NBC, as if you need more evidence, but here it is. Quote, U.S. reports 1,264 coronavirus deaths in over 24 hours. Meanwhile, in China, where the pandemic broke out, not a single new coronavirus death was reported. Notice that NBC, the news gatherers, never bother to ask why, as every Western city is shut down, life in Beijing and Shanghai is completely normal. Why is that, by the way? Someone should get to the bottom of that. Well, political bias is one reason for why these people are flacking for China. Trump is anti-China, therefore they're for it. They're like that about everything. They defended MS-13 when he attacked them. But there's more than that going on. There's a financial interest at the bottom of this arrangement that you should know about. Arthur Bloom is the managing editor of the American Conservative, and he joins us tonight. Thanks so much for coming on. So your reporting shows that many big American media companies aren't simply, for ideological reasons, carrying water for China, but are actually doing business with the Chinese government. Tell us.
Right. So we've got this tremendous disconnect between what the American people actually think about China and what the media has been telling us. Something like more than 70% of Americans blame China for it, and yet that's not what we've been getting. So why? There's all the usual reasons that most reporters are liberal and that they trust experts a lot, but they're also in business with them. And that can take a whole bunch of different forms. There's the Chinese inserts in the New York Times or the Washington Post. They've gotten a lot of attention, but also some of these bigger conglomerates like Comcast, which owns NBC Universal. For example, they're building a big theme park in Beijing, which is a multi-billion-dollar investment that hasn't come online yet. And so what does that mean? If Rachel Maddow, for example, were to come on and start bashing the Chinese government, the Communist Party could come down and say, actually, we're not interested in opening your theme park anymore.
Wait, so you're saying that for the same reason that NBA players won't criticize the Chinese government, the league is in business and Nike is in business with them, NBC's parent company is also in business with the Chinese government, so NBC on air, the hair hats who read the news can't criticize China either.
That's exactly right. And so in this Beijing project that Universal NBC is working on, it's a partnership between Comcast and a Chinese state-owned investment company. So they're literally in business with the Chinese government. And we've seen the NBA situation was a great example where just one owner of a team was critical of the Chinese, and yet the hammer came down hard on the entire league. And so they're not known for a proportional response here.
That's so interesting. Have you heard any of their anchors disclose the conflict?
I certainly haven't, and there have been a lot of stories that are suspiciously close to the Communist Party line. For example, talking about how the only new cases in China are coming from foreigners, and talking about Chinese global leadership. And then in the last month or two, there have been a number of reporters that have been expelled from China, and no NBC reporters were on that list. I would think if you're covering China in a tough way, it's a badge of honor to be kicked out.
It's interesting because I was watching the MSNBC morning show the other day, and all the hyenas are jumping around about how Trump is pushing hydroxychloroquine because he's getting rich from it. Total lie, it turns out. But they never mentioned that they flack for China consistently, and they do because they're doing business with China. It's just an amazing thing, and I'm so glad, Arthur Bloom, that you brought this to our attention. We're going to follow up. Thank you.
Thank you.